Hi, Del Valley ISD community. It's been a while since I visited with you through video. First, I want to say hello to all the students and congratulate you on a successful year and congratulate the graduates who are about to get their cap and gown and move on to the next phase of your lives. Congratulations. Congratulations to parents for getting through a successful year, and congratulations to teachers and staff. I want to take this moment to first congratulate you and let you know that I'm so proud of the great things happening in Del Valley. Secondly, I unfortunately need to take this opportunity to clarify some misconceptions and some misrepresentations that have been presented through an audit presented by Weaver Consulting. Unfortunately, not all of the artifacts or representations of events had been presented. I wasn't contacted for fact checking or to verify the information, although the Board of Trustees have had this information in the past and are aware of the things that I'm about to share with you to clarify some of those misconceptions. Trying to go through it without taking too much of your time. I'm also including a PowerPoint with this information. But to begin, Dr. Torres and I, in a prior district, were recognized for our curriculum and instruction work and were featured in a book called Impact Teams by Corwin Publishing, who then recruited us to be consultants. We soon thereafter began in Del Valley ISD, I as assistant superintendent, he as a consultant. Both in 2017, Dr. Crook hired us. Following that, he continued to give professional development, and we decided that we were going to begin our own company to begin working on professional development independently. However, I was promoted to deputy superintendent, so that never came to fruition, and I exited the LLC as quickly as it was started without doing any work under it, simply because I wanted to devote my time and attention to Del Valley ISD. Dr. Torres then began his own consulting firm, True North, which I was not a part of, and he continued with his professional development. Dr. Crook asked him to be a principal at Ojeda as an acting principal when the prior principal left. Ray Prentice and she brought that to him, and I was not part of that conversation nor that hire. I did become interim superintendent in July of 2019. She hired him in February of 2019, again, without me having been part of that conversation or that decision. Throughout my then superintendency, there was a position with Tesla that was co-created, and two executives, our own executive, Jonathan Harris, Chief of Governmental Relations and Compliance, and Tesla executive, Chris Riley, over education, provided the final interview for the top two candidates. There were about 6 candidates who interviewed with approximately 10 people, and the top 2 were forwarded to the top executives, who then made the recommendation for their final candidate, who was Dr. Torres. And although this was not required to go to the board for approval, it was 100% funded by Tesla, along with 2 other positions that were 100% funded by Tesla. They did go eventually to the board a month or 2 later for approval for transparency purposes. In addition to that, we then began a relationship in 2022. And in that time, on specifically May 17th of 2022, I brought this to the Board of Trustees in a closed session that happened to be at the OC during the May student recognition. And the board attorney was there, and the HR assistant superintendent disclosed this information. He offered to retire or resign if this caused a conflict for the board. They said no, they didn't want him to resign. One of the board members said that when he was principal, he was the best principal their child had ever had, and no, he didn't need to resign. This came up several times during my tenure. He offered to resign multiple times, and it came back with no, he does not need to resign. So that's an important piece, I think, that was left out. In 2023, we did establish a residence together, and we are now getting married. So that's an important little piece of information to share. From there, we are going to talk a little bit about land purchases and about the bond of 2019 and 2022. Both had demographic studies, both had needs assessments, both are demonstrated in the artifacts that I've provided. The land was not purchased by Dr. Torres. He did not go out and unilaterally make a purchase. On November 15th of 2022, Charlie Diggs made a motion to approve the resolution to purchase approximately 149.2 acres in the Oliver Buckman survey, and it gives the number. It was seconded by Darla Wegner, and the motion carried 6-0. I provided artifacts of weekly board updates, examples, and those weekly board updates were something that the board got on a weekly basis, along with questions answered that gave them updates on this information. Resources for Learning was brought up. This was a program evaluation company that approached me and asked to do a program evaluation at programs at DAEP. Richard Franklin was volunteering at the time, providing services to DAEP. And they did say that they were going to publish a research publication upon the completion of that program evaluation. Reassignment of staff. DVISD, DK local, the superintendent has the sole authority to move staff that they deem need to be moved for any reason. While a board member may not agree with it, that does not require board approval. Assistant principal substitute, at the time that was mentioned in the Weaver audit, we had 2 vacancies, and the 2 vacancies were at Hornsby and Ojeda. The budget was open for a substitute to be hired, and substitutes do not go to the Board of Trustees for hiring or for board approval. So that was something that was absolutely needed at those 2 campuses. They were both high needs campuses. And as a former successful elementary principal from Del Valle ISD and a successful HR assistant superintendent, Mr. Prentice was the right fit for that. He was married to Susie Wallace. That had no bearing on whether or not he was the right candidate for a substitute position. Hiring processes and vetting processes for volunteers, yes, that process did need to be tightened up. And in 2022, the HR team began tightening processes for all background checks, whether they were current or former employees. And for the grievance process, it was brought to my attention that it was difficult to find. It was brought to some board members' attention that the grievance process was difficult to find. And it was then immediately changed to be put on the website of the HR front page. So that was something that did need to be improved. So thank you for listening to me. I miss all of you. I appreciate your just effort to make it the best district. And kids, it's about you. Keep the focus on you and keep reaching for the stars because you deserve it. Bye, everyone.